Hi, my name is Vasily Tolstoy. I'm a member of the programming committee of the Linux Piter 16 conference, at which we are. And I'm talking with Pawel Moll. Hi, Pawel.
Good morning.
Who is a speaker of our conference. So, please tell us something about you. What are you doing? Where are you doing that?
I'm a software engineer. I like to think about myself as a programmer, although I don't write that much of code these days. I work at a company called ARM, at IT-related crowd usually heard of, the popular public usually hasn't. And I work in Cambridge. I'm Polish natively, but I live and work in Cambridge in England.
Oh. It's great. Cambridge, where the people actually teach.
Yes, that's this place that is a home of Cambridge University.
And they have these mantles, and they're walking around with the square hats.
Yes, every single time around September.
No.
This is a very traditional place, really, really traditional. The colleges are old, the traditions are equally old, and around the time when there is a graduation ceremony, yes, you will see people wearing the gowns and the flat hats, and yes, they throw the diploma over their heads and so on and so on. It really happens. And the academics, the university staff, will wear the heavy coats made of fur, etc., etc. Yes. Do not to be confused with the other Cambridge in the United States of America, which also hosts a very famous university, Harvard and MIT.
Been there, haven't seen any guy with a flat hat.
I don't think they do this there. Couldn't say.
Okay. So, you have given a talk at this conference, as I said. Can you tell us what it was about?
So, the subject of this talk came from my work experience. I had, for better or worse, I was working with, less sexy side of programming, of development, which is around developer tools. Debuggers, profilers, compilers, so all the stuff that every single software engineer will use and don't really want to know about. I think the least popular subject of all the things that I've mentioned are debuggers. This is my kind of usual question to the public. How many people have been taught at university, college, anything about compilers? And there's usually quite a good group, something like maybe even half, had some classes related to compilers. And the follow-up question is, how many people were taught how debuggers work? The usual answer is none. And I'm one of these cases, I have to admit myself. I was never taught how debuggers, I never cared how debuggers work until I started working with people developing developer tools. So I had to learn it, and I found it quite interesting. So I thought I would spread the knowledge.
My personal experience, knowledge about the debuggers is that there's a magic instruction which traps after every instruction, and
it's usually hardware helping it.
Actually, it ends up all my knowledge.
If only it was that simple.
There is a magic in GUI which moves the semi-transparent line back and forth.
Interestingly enough, there is no magic, obviously, and this simple fact of your line, of your highlighter moving down is much more complicated than one would hope.
I understand that between this instruction and moving line there is a world by itself.
And there is a lot of stuff, there is a lot of cogs there are a lot of cogs running in the background, yes. Unfortunately, you didn't have to care about it. That means that the debugger was well designed and well implemented. This was our job.
Yes, both hope about it. What do you think? In recent years, what's the most important thing happened to Linux and maybe in all the open source projects?
Well, the most important thing that happened in general to IT was Linux itself. It's couple of years.
2 years ago, it's a prehistoric time already. The cavemen were there. But in last years, like 2 of them.
I'm not quite sure whether it's Linux specific. I think it spans all over the IT, but to me, one of the kind of game-changing moments where in our business was when people start using machine learning principles in real world. You think at least to my mind, the first kind of manifestation of applied machine learning principle was the famous Xbox Kinect. It happened, the kind of controller that you can play on Xbox, waving your hands and so on and so on. Most people don't know how it works. Again, like with debuggers, most people don't care how it works. The interesting fact was that it's the first mass-scale deployment of machine learning principles. I've heard the story from guys at Microsoft that the gaming division was struggling a lot with the implementation there. They weren't able to process the image with traditional techniques in real time, as it was required by the gaming industry. So they've asked academics, what's the solution for it? And this was actually Kinect. That's one of the reasons I know about it. Was developed in Cambridge. Microsoft has a research site in Cambridge. It's like private university almost. That's nothing to do with IT development. That's where the Kinect was created. And they kind of used the ideas that were known in academia for many years, and they showed that they actually can work, and the effects were stunning. And in the last 2, 3, 4 years, there was an incredible progress in the area of facial recognition, image processing in general, and it's all based on the machine learning algorithms.
So yes, I see it even in my Facebook, where the images processed in magic way by these programs.
Cats.
The cats were before the machine learning.
Yes, but the cats have been recognized. So Google is pretty much so. The cats videos is the most popular thing, the most important thing in the internet, right?
It should
yes.
be.
So YouTube sites will like to highlight the cats videos to the people. It's a funny story, but that's actually therefore one of the applications of compute vision, so image recognition, was to discover the videos with cats. You may laugh, but there was a competition running for a good 10 years or so now, where competitors were supposed to provide algorithms that will look at a set of images and detect cats.
Sorry.
Yes, it was a real stuff. There were people from all over the world, from academia, competing in that particular contest, and they were getting, 5, 6 years ago, they were getting 40-50% right, so they had 50% accuracy. And one team from a university, forgot which one was it, came with a completely different approach. They've used deep neural networks, so one of the machine learning algorithms, to do the image recognition. So, as I say, there was 40-50% accuracy, 80% accuracy. There was such a step change in the results. Obviously, the year after, everyone was using DNNs, therefore they had to improve in other areas, but this was the step change. This was a major difference. This made a difference.
So extrapolating, we can say that the one thing we would be able to say for sure in recent years is that are there any cats on distant planets?
Yes.
Anything else would be still a totally dark matter, but
yes.
The cats would be the fact.
Yes, cats will be certainly
robot
recognized correctly.
Exploration, we will find the cat, nothing else.
Yes.
So after we have achieved as a society this great marking point when you can distinguish cats and video, what would be the next thing? What's cooking? What do you think?
So I'm quite traditional when it comes to such some big things. I'm sure there will be plenty of buzzwords, right? I think these days it's containers. 5 years ago it was something else, and in the widely spaced IT area there will be some other buzzwords. I'm less excited about the new things in at the enterprise level. I'm much more excited about the architectural level things. Now, having said that, I don't think there will be any major breakthrough in the fundamental computer science in the next couple of years, unless the quantum computing happens. If the quantum computing actually works, it's being implemented by someone, this will be a game changer for many obvious reasons. Think asymmetric cryptography, for example. One of the basic algorithms that was first implemented for quantum computing was number factorization, meaning RSA immediately kind of doesn't exist anymore. It just makes no sense whatsoever.
Yes. Go up in flames.
Yes. So that would be a huge complete change if it happens.
If it happens, it's the closest thing to science fiction which I really expect happening. Okay. So, we're at the conference now. What do you think? What's the reason of existence of the conference? Why they're important?
Knowledge sharing. I think that's one thing that I always value the most at conferences. Things that normally I wouldn't look at because of lack of time, interest, or simply I wouldn't know they exist. Conferences bring people from so many backgrounds together. This knowledge sharing, this idea sharing will happen whether you like it or not. There will be no other talk about developer tools at this conference, so I will be forced to listen to other subjects, and I'll learn something new, for sure.
And what conferences would you recommend to our listeners and viewers to attend, or at least to listen to the materials?
So there is one, my firm favorite, it's Linux Plumbers. Linux Plumbers, it's organized usually in States. It happened once in Europe as well, and it is extremely technical. That's what I like it a lot. A lot of especially the largest events these days became more like marketing-y. There's a lot of marketing message being passed away, but they became quite shallow at the technical point. Linux Plumbers is the place where people interested in, well, obviously Linux kernel development and user space meet together and talk how to make those two things, user space and kernel, work, cooperate. And I'm not saying that marketing presentations are banned there, but it's very unlikely that a marketing set of slides would pass through the committee. Yeah. So it's really, really, really good one. And it's also kind of reasonable sized. So I dislike the huge events with thousands of attendees. The Plumbers is really, really my favorite.
Great. And the usual personal question. What operation system is running on your home computer? Or computers?
Yes. So any servery thing I've got somewhere in the internet is usually running Debian. It might have been running CentOS when I used CentOS for the first time. It was just pretty much coincidence. Now my laptop today is running Ubuntu. My work machine at home, my desktop at work is also running Ubuntu, but that's mostly because people around me are using Ubuntu. In my previous job, Fedora was kind of a de facto operating system for workstation, so I was running Fedora. I'm quite agnostic when it comes to Linux distribution, maybe because I spent most of my life developing this kernel. On the talking about distribution and so on, I can proudly say that I was a user of Linux Slackware 2.0, or maybe it wasn't even 1.0, it was a long time ago. And I had a CD box, with a distribution that most likely no one around here heard about. It was called Yggdrasil. Never installed it, to be fair. Yggdrasil, yes.
I heard about that.
But it was probably the second or third distribution that ever existed, Linux distribution that ever existed.
Great. So, thank you.
My pleasure.